Next, for number 31, we have a logarithmic equation. And paano nga ba natin sinesolve ito? By converting it into an exponential equation. So, how do we do that? By rearranging yung mga numbers tulad nito. Yung 2 na ito, yun yung magiging base ng ating exponential equation. Ito naman yung kanyang magiging exponent. At ito yung magiging answer. So, rearrange natin. This would become 2 raised to x is equal to 64. At ngayon, aalamin na lang natin anong power of 2 ba ang magre-result sa 64. So, bilangin natin. We have 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. So, anong power of 2 siya? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, ang sagot natin dito is simply 6. Ngayon, sa mga college entrance exam takers, I recommend na i-memorize nyo yung powers of 2 up to 2 to the 10th para hindi na kayo magsasayang ng oras sa pagbibilang every time. So next, which of the following is true? So dito, kailangan natin malaman yung definition ng arithmetic at geometric sequence. Ano nga ba sila? Arithmetic sequence is a progression of numbers kung saan nag-a-add kayo ng constant to get the next term. Ano ang isang example ng arithmetic sequence? Pinakasimple would be ito, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, dot, dot, dot. Kung saan makukuha natin yung next term by adding 1 sa previous term. Isa pang example ng arithmetic sequence ay, pwede rin ito, 10, 7, 4, 1, dot, 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 kung saan yung first term natin ay 10, and to get the next term, mag-a-add lang tayo ng negative 3. Now, ang geometric sequence naman, instead of adding, magmumultiply tayo. So, ano yung mga examples ng geometric sequence? Pwede ito. We have 10, 20, 40, 80, dot, 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 kung saan yung first term natin ay 10, at for every subsequent term, magmumultiply tayo ng 2. Isa pang example ng geometric sequence would be this, 100, 50, 25, 12.5, dot, 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 kung saan yung first term ay 100, at yung imumultiply natin to get each subsequent term is 1/2. So, tingnan natin, alin ba dito ang totoo? We have the sequence 2, 6, 18, 54, 160 is a geometric sequence. Tingnan natin yung rule sa progression na ito. From 2 to 6, mukhang nag-multiply sila ng 3. From 6 to 18, mukhang times 3 rin ito. 18 to 54 times 3 rin. Pero, 54 times 3 is not 160. So, this is not a geometric sequence. Next, 2, 6, 18, 54, 160 is an arithmetic sequence. Mas lalong hindi. Kasi hindi naman tayo nag-add ng constant to get each term. So next, the sequence negative 1, negative 3, negative 5 is a geometric sequence. Hindi din. Kasi dito mukhang nag-a-add tayo ng number instead of multiplying. So next, the sequence negative 1, negative 3, negative 5 is an arithmetic sequence. This is correct. Yung constant na ina-add natin to get the next term is negative 2. So, negative 1 minus 2, negative 3 minus 2, negative 5. So, yun. Sagot natin is letter D. Next, follow the sequence. 1, 3, 9, 27, N. So, ano sa tingin nyo yung rule sa sequence na ito? Mukhang ang ginagawa lang is minumultiply natin by 3 yung previous term to get the next term. So, 1 times 3 is 3, times 3 is 9, times 3, 27. So, 27 times 3, this is 81. Okay, next. The fourth term of an arithmetic sequence is 2. And the 17th term is 7. What is the general term of the sequence? So, kailangan natin malaman yung general term. Ano ba ang general formula ng isang arithmetic sequence? Ito siya. AN is equal to A1 plus N minus 1 times D. Yan, i-memorize nyo ito. Kasi gamit na gamit din ito sa mga college entrance exams. Now, ano ba yung mga given sa atin? Yung fourth term daw ng arithmetic sequence is 2. Ang ibig sabihin nun, when N is equal to 4, ang an natin ay equal sa 2. So, isubstitute natin yung mga values na yon sa equation na ito. We have 2 is equal to a1 plus 4 minus 1 times d. And kung makikita nyo, dalawa yung unknowns natin, yung a1 at yung d. I-simplify muna natin yung ating equation. We have a1 plus 3d is equal to 2. So, ang ginawa ko dito, yon, in-evaluate ko lang yung 4 minus 1 to get 3 at pinagbaligtad ko yung dalawang variables. Now, next, i-substitute naman natin yung next given na 17th term daw is 7. So, sinasabi dito na when n is equal to 17, an is equal to 7. So, i-substitute natin ulit siya sa ating formula. Meron tayong 7 is equal to a1 plus 17 minus 1 times d. And again, dalawa ulit yung unknown natin, yung a1 at yung d. I-simplify natin yung equation. We would have a1 plus 16d is equal to 7. And so, makikita nyo na meron tayong dalawang equations with two unknowns. Pwede tayong mag-set up ng system of equations to solve both of these unknowns. So, ilagay lang natin yung first equation dito and let us set up yung systems of equations. Now, how do we solve this in the most efficient way possible? Pwede tayong mag-eliminate ng isang unknown. So, i-eliminate natin yung a1 kasi mas madali siya. Para i-eliminate yung a1, what we could do is to subtract the two equations together. So, this minus this. Ano yung magiging result niya? a1 minus a1, this is 0. 16d minus 3d, this is 13d. At 7 minus 2, this is 5. So, meron tayong 13d is equal to 5. Isolate natin yung d. d is equal to 5 over 13. Now, meron na tayong value ni d. Solve naman natin si a. Para ma-solve si a, i-plug in natin yung 5 over 13 dito. We would have, ano yan? a1 plus 3 times 5 over 13 is equal to 2. And let's isolate a1. a1 would now become 2 minus 3 times 5 over 13. Transpose ko lang ito sa kabilang side. So, i-evaluate na rin natin. 3 times 5, ano ba yon? This is 15. So, yan. A is equal to 2 minus 15 over 13. I-simplify pa natin. Paano natin masisimplify ito? Diba, if you remember from elementary, para makapag-subtract tayo ng fractions, kailangan pareha sila ng denominator. So, gawin nating 13 din ang denominator ng 2. Paano natin gagawin yon? We just multiply 13 times 2. This is 26. So, yung 2 natin, naging 26 over 13 kasi equal pa rin naman ito sa 2. So, ano yung magiging result? 26 minus 15, this is 11. Ang A1 natin ay 11 over 13. So, meron na tayong values ng A1 at D. So, pwede na nating i-plug in sila sa original equation natin. We would have an is equal to, ano ulit yung value ng a1? 11 over 13 plus n minus 1 times ano ang value ng d? 5 over 13. Now, isimplify lang natin ito. We would have 11 over 13 plus 5 over 13 n minus 5 over 13. Dinistribute ko lang yung 5 over 13 sa dalawang ito. Next, isimplify pa natin. Meron tayong dalawang like terms. Ito at ito, isubtract natin sila. 11 over 13 minus 5 over 13, we would have 6 over 13 plus, yan, i-retain lang natin to 5 over 13n. So, i-combine natin since parehas naman sila ng denominator. Magre-result tayo sa 6 plus 5n over 13. So, nasan ba siya sa choices? Ito, 5n plus 6 over 13. Yan, pinagbaligtad lang. Pero, ang sagot natin ay C. Next, if the lengths of the sides of a rectangle are 5 and 15, what is its perimeter? So, ito madali lang to kasi magdodraw lang kayo ng rectangle. Yan daw ang rectangle natin. Ang sides niya ay 5 at 15. Para makuha yung perimeter, kailangan nyo lang i-add yung lahat ng sides niya. So, this is 15 plus 5 plus 15 plus 5 or 40 centimeters. Next, what is the slope of the line with equation 3x plus 10y minus 4 equals 56? Now, kapag ang pinapahanap lang naman sa inyo ay slope, ang gagawin nyo lang is to isolate y. Paano ba natin i-isolate yung y dito? Transpose natin yung 3 sa kabilang side. So, we would have what? 10y is equal to negative 3x plus 4 dahil dito plus 56. And para i-isolate pa yung y, i-divide natin lahat by 10. And yung slope ng ating line would be yung coefficient ng x. So this would be, ano yun, negative 3 over 10. So without solving anything else, yan, nakuha na natin yung slope ng ating line. This is negative 3 over 10. Next, a side of a square is 10 centimeters. What is the length of its diagonal? So, i-draw natin. Meron daw tayong square na may side 10 centimeters. Yung diagonal ng isang square is ito. Yan. Ano daw ang length nito? Now, we could solve this by using the Pythagorean theorem. Diba meron tayong 10 dito, 10 dito. Paano natin makukuha yung hypotenuse ng ating right triangle? So, Pythagorean theorem is just 10 squared plus 10 squared square root. So, this is what? 100 plus 100 or 200. Next, i-factor out natin yung 200. Magiging 100 times 2. And since nasa loob ng square root ang isang perfect square, pwede natin siyang ilabas sa ating square root. Ang square root kasi ng 100 is 10. So, ilabas natin yung 10. Matitira na lang tayo with square root of 2. So, ang sagot natin is yung diagonal ng ating square is 10 square root of 2. Pero wala sa choices. So, paano yan? Ang nasa choices kasi ay 10, 12, 14, 16. So, ano dito ang equal sa 10 square root of 2? Kailangan familiar tayo sa mga values ng common square roots. So, ang square root of 2, i-memorize nyo na lang, this is approximately equal to 1.41. Ang square root of 3 naman, if curious kayo, this is approximately 1.73. Pero, ito lang naman yung kailangan natin. So, 10 times 1.41, this is around 14. So, ang sagot natin is, yan, 14 centimeters. Next, triangle ABC is an isosceles right-angled triangle and angle ACB is equal to 90. If BC is greater than or equal to 12, what is the minimum value of the area of triangle ABC? So, i-draw natin kung ano yung dinedescribe sa problem. Meron daw tayong triangle na isosceles. Ano ang ibig sabihin ng isosceles? Yan. Equal yung dalawang sides niya. Right triangle din daw siya. So, meron siyang right angle dito. At, i-label natin yung mga sides. Triangle ABC is an isosceles right angle triangle and angle ACB is equal to 90. ACB, kung saan yung gitnang angle, angle C, yun daw yung 90. If BC is greater than or equal to 12, so ito daw yung 12. Ano daw ang minimum value for the area of the whole triangle? Now, isosceles daw yung triangle natin. So, ibig sabihin, 12 din ito. And, paano ba natin makukuha ang area ng isang triangle? Di ba meron tayong formula? Area is equal to base times height over 2. So, sulat lang natin, ano ba ang base niya? Base niya ay 12. Ano yung height? 12 din. So, ang area nito ay just 12 times 12 over 2. Ang 12 times 12 kasi ay 144 over 2. So, this is equal to 72. Kaso may problem, yan no? Walang 72 sa choices. So, erroneous yung problem na ito tulad ng na-discuss natin previously. So, ano ang ginagawa natin kapag erroneous? Kailangan natin alamin alin ba sa choices yung sa tingin yung intended answer ng gumawa ng question. Kasi normal lang naman na magkamali yung gumawa ng exam kasi tao lang naman din sila. Pero magandang i-develop din natin yung skill na alamin ano ba yung intended correct answer. So, ano sa tingin ko yung intended correct answer from the choices? Tingnan natin yung solution. Meron tayong 144 na nakasulat. Tapos, isa sa mga choices is suspiciously related to 144. This is 288, di ba? So, siguro, ang ginawa ng examiner is, imbis na i-divide by 2 yung 144 para makuha yung area, minultiply niya instead by 2. Kaya niya nakuha yung 288. So, ang isasagot natin dito is letter A. And again, ang tamang answer talaga is 72. Pero, since wala sa choices at alam nating erroneous yung question kasi tama naman lahat ng ginawa natin. Yan. Kailangan natin alamin kung alin ba sa choices ang intended na correct answer. Okay. Last two items. Meron tayong triangle with sides 7, 24, and 25. Now, if you watched yung previous video ko, malalaman nyo na these three numbers are Pythagorean triples. So, tama naman. Meron tayong right triangle na ito yung sides. Now, ano daw yung value ng cosine theta? Now, dito, simple lang yan. Gagamit lang tayo ng SOHCAHTOA. Ano ulit yung SOHCAHTOA? SOHCAHTOA says, para makuha yung sine ng isang angle, you would just, So, opposite over hypotenuse. Para naman makuha yung cosine ng isang angle, you would just get yung A o kaya adjacent over hypotenuse. Para naman sa tangent theta, you would just get yung OA or opposite over adjacent. Sa problem na ito, pinapahanap sa atin yung cosine. So, cosine means ito, adjacent over hypotenuse. Kung ito yung angle natin, ang adjacent niya is yung katabi, kaya nga adjacent This is 24. Ang hypotenuse naman niya is ito, 25. So, ang cosine is 24 over 25 or ito. Lastly, which of the following is correct? Tapos meron pang inintroduce na bagong trig functions. Cosecant at secant. Ano ba ang cosecant? Cosecant is just 1 over sine theta. Ngayon, kung ang sine theta ay opposite over hypotenuse, ang reciprocal niya is syempre hypotenuse over opposite. Now, next, ang secant naman. Secant is equal to 1 over cosine theta. Now again, kapag ang cosine theta ay adjacent over hypotenuse, ang secant theta ay hypotenuse over adjacent. So, yun yung definitions ng dalawang bagong trig functions na ito. Now, tingnan natin, tama ba? Ang cosecant ba ay 7 over 25? Tingnan natin. Hypotenuse over opposite is 25 over 7. So, mali ito. Same way, mali rin yung secant kasi hypotenuse over adjacent is 25 over 24. So, mali rin ito. Tangent theta is yung opposite over adjacent. Ano ba ang opposite? 7. Ano ang adjacent? 24. Tama, 7 over 24 yung nakasabi dito. So, ito yung correct answer. And finally, last set of questions na tayo, number 41. The diameter of a circle has endpoints negative 1, 4, and 7, 2. Find the center and radius of the circle. Now, kung mapapansin nyo sa choices, yung radius, lahat naman sila 5, so hindi na natin siya kailangan isolve. Center na lang. Paano nga ba natin kukunin yung center ng isang circle? By getting the midpoint of its diameter. So, paano nga ba natin kukunin yung midpoint niya? by getting the average ng x at y values nito. So, x values muna. Ano ba ang average ng x values niya? Meron tayong negative 1 plus 7 over 2. So, kinuha ko lang yung average ng negative 1 at 7. We would have what? This is 6 over 2 or 3. Para naman sa y coordinates, meron tayong negative 4 plus 2 over 2. This is negative 2 over 2 or negative 1. So, yung coordinates ng center ng ating circle is on 3, negative 1. Nasaan yun? 3, negative 1. Next, what is the diameter of the circle with an equation x squared plus y squared plus 8y is equal to 0? Now, yung binigay sa atin is the general form of a circle. Para makuha yung kanyang diameter, kailangan muna nating i-rewrite siya sa kanyang standard form. Paano natin yung gagawin? Una, i-group muna natin yung lahat ng x's together and lahat ng y's together. So, meron tayong x squared plus parenthesis y plus 8y is equal to 0. Now, magpe-perform tayo ng tinatawag nating completing the square. Paano yun? Paano tayo nagko-complete the square? Tingnan nyo yung coefficient ng y na ito, 8. From 8, ang gagawin nyo is i-divide nyo by 2. Yan, so from 8 magiging 4. At isi-square nyo. So from 4, magiging 16. At yung 16 ay i-add natin sa both sides. X squared plus y squared plus 8y plus 16 is equal to 16. Yan na, so okay lang naman yun. Nag-add lang tayo ng 16 sa both sides. Valid pa rin naman yung ating equation. Now, tingnan nyo yung parenthesis na ito. Factorable siya. This is a perfect square trinomial. So, paano siya ifa-factor? This is just y plus 4 squared. So, kopyahin lang natin yung ibang terms. Ayan. So, yun. From the standard equation ng circle, i-rewrite lang natin yung 16 as 4 squared and automatic, ito na kaagad ang radius ng ating circle. Paano natin kukunin yung diameter? I-doble lang natin yung kanyang radius. So, from 4, ang diameter ng circle ay 8. Next, what is the mean of this set of numbers? So, pinapahanap sa atin yung average ng lahat ng numbers na ito. So, dito natin magagamit yung arithmetic skills natin. Try yung i-mental addition lahat ng numbers na yan. So, meron tayong 3, 6, 11, 16, 24, 32, 40, 49, 58, and 67. So, 67 yung sum ng lahat ng numbers na nandito. At ilang numbers ba silang lahat? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, meron tayong 10 numbers. I-divide natin by 10. Ang average ng 10 numbers na yan ay 6.7. Next, what is the median of this set of numbers? So, sa median naman, kukunin lang natin yung gitna. Diba? Ilang numbers ba ito? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So, meron tayong 11 numbers. Ang gitna niya would be nasa 6. So, bilangin natin yung 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Buti na lang naka-increasing order na yung set of numbers natin. If hindi kasi, kailangan pa natin siyang i-rearrange. So, ang sagot natin dito would be 6. 45. What is the numerical value that describes a characteristic of a sample? So, definition of terms na tayo dito under the topic statistics. At meron kayong pwedeng gamiting guide para sa definition of terms na ito. Ang keyword natin ay sample. Kapag nagde-describe ng characteristic ng sample, nagsisimula sa letter S, statistic. Kapag naman nagde-describe ng characteristic ng population, nagsisimula sa letter P, ito ay parameter. Now, i-define natin yung ibang choices. Statistics, syempre, yung buong subject kung saan pinag-aaralan ito. At data naman is yung raw na kinolect natin from experiments, surveys, etc. Next, how many games are played in a season if there are 10 teams and each team plays another team only once? So, gets ba yung question na ito? Simplihan lang natin. Let's say, 4 na teams lang. Yan. So, for 4 teams, tapos lahat ng teams kailangan makipaglaban sa isa't isa. Ilang games in total yung mangyayari? So, i-connect lang natin lahat ng possible games. So, syempre, yung team na to makikipaglaban dyan, makikipaglaban sa kanya, makikipaglaban sa kanya, at kompletuhin na lang natin. Yan. So, meron pala tayong 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games kapag 4 yung teams natin. And paano natin nalaman na 6 games? Kinonect lang natin lahat ng points to each other. So, in geometry terms, di ba mukhang permutation combination yung problem na ito, pero pwede rin natin isolve ito using geometry. Kasi, yung number of games is equal to yung number of sides ng ating polygon plus yung number of diagonals niya. 'Di ba? At meron tayong formula for that. Yung number of sides kasi ng polygon yan, alam na natin agad kasi equal naman ito sa number of teams. Kung meron kayong 4 teams, meron din kayong 4 sides. Now, yung number of diagonals, meron tayong formula na kailangan i-memorize dyan. Ano yun? Number of diagonals is equal to n times n minus 3 over 2, kung saan n is yung number of sides. Unahin muna natin yung example na to. Sa square, meron kang 4 sides, so n is equal to 4. At para makuha yung number of diagonals niya, meron tayong 4 times 4 minus 3 over 2. And this is just equal to 2. So tama, dalawa nga naman yung diagonals ng ating square. And kung i-add natin yung number of sides ng ating square, 2 plus 4 is equal to 6. Ito na yung makakapagbigay ng number of games kapag meron tayong 4 na teams. Now, gawin naman natin yung same formula sa mismong problem. Meron tayong 10 teams. So, n is equal to 10. Yung number of sides niya is also 10, pero yung number of diagonals, mako-compute natin by 10 times 10 minus 3 over 2. This would be 7. 10 times 7 over 2, or this is, 35. So, 35 diagonals plus 10 sides. This is equal to 45. Next, how many ways can the letters of the word PUPN be arranged? So, nasa topic na tayo ng permutation combination. At meron tayong simpleng formula to solve this problem. Kapag meron kayong n objects, n objects, the number of ways that you can arrange n objects is just n factorial. Alam nyo ba yung ibig sabihin ng factorial? This is multiplying all counting numbers up to the number n. So, kapag meron kayong, let's say, 4 factorial, this is just equal to 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Okay, now, PUPN, ilang letters ba yan? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, meron tayong 6 factorial ways to arrange the word PUPN. Pero, meron pang twist. Kasi, meron tayong dalawang magkaparehas na letter. Dalawang letter P. At kapag may duplicate letters tayo, walang pinagkaiba yung arrangement kapag in-interchange nyo yung positions nila. So, how can we consider yung duplicate letters sa PUPN? Ang gagawin lang natin is i-divide yung sagot by the number of duplicates factorial. So, meron tayong dalawang letter P. So, yung magiging denominator natin ay 2 factorial. So, this is equal to 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 over 2 times 1. Magka-cancel ito. And this is just 6 times 5 times 4 times 3. Ano ba yun? This is 30, 120, 360. Next, in this set of numbers, what is the mode? Now, mode is just the most occurring number sa isang set. So, hanapin natin ano ba dito yung pinaka-common. Meron tayong 3 1. Meron tayong, dalawang 6, dalawang 7, isang 8, isang 9. Okay, so mukhang ang pinaka-common dito is 1. So, yan, madali lang yung question na to. Next, for number 49, what is the probability of getting a sum of 12 after rolling a dice twice? So, meron daw kayong die, yan, ang singular ng dice ay die, at kailangan nyo daw makakuha ng 12 in 2 rolls. At 'di ba paano ba mangyayari yun? Kapag naka-roll kayo ng 6 2 times. 'Di ba? Yun lang naman yung only way to roll a 12. Maka-roll kayo ng 6 both times. So, ano yung probability na yon? Alam natin na ang probability na maka-roll ka ng 6 one time ay 1 over 6. 'Di ba? This is obvious. Now, para maka-roll ka ng 6 ulit, imumultiply mo lang ito by 1/6. So, parang 1/6 squared, this is for 2 rolls. This is equal to 1 over 36. Last, number 50, what is the probability that 2 coins tossed at the same time will yield 2 tails? Now, dito, parang parehas lang siya sa previous question natin. And para ma-illustrate pa natin yung point, pwede nating ilista lahat ng possible outcomes kapag nag-toss tayo ng dalawang coins. Pwede siyang magkaroon ng heads-heads, ba? Heads-tails, tails-heads, at tails-tails. Ngayon, sa lahat ng outcomes na ito, ano ba yung nagsasatisfy sa problem? Will yield 2 tails. So, 4 yung possible outcome. Meron lang tayong isa na nagsasatisfy ng problem, and this would now be 1/4. So, ang sagot natin is, yan, letter C. So, yun. Natapos na rin ang buong 50 items ng PUP set review natin for math. I hope marami kayong natutunan. And again, if kukuha kayo ng PUP set or other college entrance exams this year, yan, ini-invite ko kayo na mag-review with us. Yan, ang mga instructors is ako, VJ Villafuerte, and si Sachika Azumi Sagisa. So, if you want to enroll, pwede nyong i-visit yung page namin sa Facebook, INB, or Scholar ng Bayan, and message nyo kami doon. So, again, thank you so much for watching.